talking to Melanie Collette at Project 21 about this moment in our culture. For the first time, I believe that Black Americans have the opportunity, because of the massive propaganda campaign of Black Lives Matters and critical race theory, to reject being defined by their race. And I'm the biggest Trump supporter there is. I think, the MAGA movement is awesome, but I think this moment is even beyond MAGA politics. This is a really important thing that's happening in American culture and in Black culture. I was wondering if you could talk about, as you've been a political observer for a long time now, how important is this moment? Can you describe it, what it's like personally to participate in?
It is. As far as Ye is concerned, I'm so very proud of him. It is, I would argue that it is much more difficult for him to make the changes that he's made and to speak the way he speaks than it is for, an average Josephine like myself uh, to do so. And I'm so proud of his courage. But you will notice that his courage has a lot to do with his faith. And I would argue that you cannot be courageous and stand up against the woke mob unless you do have that courage. But this is a very important time for voices like his to speak out and draw attention to the fact that look how long we've been following these policies and look at the shape our communities are in. Are we being helped? And the answer is no. Just like President Trump said at one point, what do you have to lose at this point? You're not doing all that well by yourself. You've been following the same narrative all this time. Einstein said if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity. That is all really persons like Gay and members of Project 21 are saying. Look at this a little differently. Get to know your Constitution, get to know your Bible, understand what is most beneficial for you from a policy perspective. Don't be a follower. Do your
Yeah,
due
and people are
diligence. It's
used to
important.
the culture pushing an ideology on them from every angle, from music to Hollywood, to the media, and then to have someone like Ye go on Tucker Carlson and say that there's basically a genocide against Black people through abortion, and then people are having this great awakening. They're probably Googling it, like, wait a minute, how many Black people are dying from abortion, comparatively, and was there really eugenics involved with the person who founded Planned Parenthood? And so there's an awakening happening, and it's thanks to people like him and others. Any other people you want to give a shout out to at all? It doesn't
I
have to be a
have,
celebrity.
well, I have a little story about that. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday who is involved in politics and has been around for quite some time. And I made that argument to him about the abortion issue. I live in a predominantly white area. And I said, that, abortion, the foundation of abortion is racism. And I explained to him who Margaret Sanger was. And I asked him a question. I said, do you notice that there's no Planned Parenthood in our county? He said, what? I said, there's no Planned Parenthood. We don't have one. I said, do you know what we do have? I said, we have pregnancy centers that encourage people to keep their babies. I said, do you know why? Because there are very few people who look like me in this county. That's why. He was stunned. He was stunned.
It is
He had no
stunning.
idea that that was the issue. And we had talked about like reason he was talking to me about how I have challenges being who I am and speaking the way I speak. And he's like, how do you do that? And I told him that was one of the main reasons why I speak the way I speak, because of that racism. And I will shout it from the rooftops. It is a hill that I will absolutely die on. And I like the fact that I'm able to destroy the narrative and present that information to people who have been on one side of the aisle and even been pro-life, who have no idea how closely related to racism that policy actually is.
I think that the pandemic has really woken people up too, because in urban communities they kept the liquor store open during the pandemic, but they didn't they left Walmart's open, Home Depot. Everyone was getting delivery from Amazon. So all the billionaires and the shareholders were making lots of money. People kept on having problems with alcoholism. But then you couldn't go to school and you couldn't go to church and all these things. So have you noticed that in your
Oh,
political
I have.
engagement, that because of the pandemic, that people have woken up to these policies?
People have. I was thinking about what you were talking about health earlier and how it relates to what you just said. The legalization of marijuana is another thing, another policy that was put forth in the name of equity for Black and brown people. And it seems like everything that is kind of negative or a vice that is terrible and not good for you, every time they're allowing it, they're doing it in the name of equity for Black and brown people. Bail reform, all these criminal policies, letting people out of jail, all in the name of Black people. So to be clear, you're helping us out because we're predominantly marijuana smoking criminals who like to kill our babies. That's basically what the policies are saying. And so what they're doing is trying to manipulate our minds, turn us into slaves, which is a way worse kind of slavery. That mind slavery,
It's
way worse.
it's so ironic that both you and Donna talk about how America is so great, and the Constitution is so great, and we don't really have systemic racism. But you both point out so well how we do have racism. It just comes from a source that you don't expect or that isn't talked about, and how hurtful it really is. But you both have your faith that helps you rise above it, and I think that's an important part of an ingredient in that success. Any final thoughts about how people can connect with you, your radio show, anything else you want to share?
Sure, thank you. My radio show is Money Talk with Melanie. You can connect on Twitter at Money Talk Mel, or on Facebook. It's on a station called 98.7 The Coast, which streams live 7 to 9 every Wednesday. Or you can always get the podcast on any platform where you enjoy your podcasts. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Melanie. Really appreciate your insights today and for what you're doing for our country and at the local level in New Jersey. And thank all of you for watching AmericanMediaPeriscope.net. We are America's Patriot-only network, and you can get my breaking news updates at SeanMorganReport.com. God bless all you patriots. Good night and good luck.